all ages. I hope you've missed me. I hope you missed the channel after my update video. And as you can tell by the title, we're doing a little something different. With me today, you can see the title name being Paradise Podcast, and thinking to yourself, why is Street Fighter 4 on in the background? Because PlayStation. That is the only reason. And there are two hot females on screen, Chun-Li and Cammy, and probably provocative clothing for your viewing pleasure. That probably won't stay up. But why are we here? What is on the agenda for today? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the Paradise, I have with you, after popular demand, or not popular demand, after whatever the hell, time has passed, my channel got nuked twice, I thought, who could I get a hold of? Well, I got a hold of this guy, and you may know him from such shows as My Hero Academia, One Piece, Demon Lord Retry, and Steins Gate Zero. Ladies and gentlemen, not just the voice actor, but the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Rolon. Yes, and I would normally do an introduction of how you got started into voice acting, but if anybody is a follower of the channel, they should know you are not a voice actor anymore, actually. Ah. Oh, that's right. I remember you actually did telling me back in March when we tried this for the second time. Yeah, you had a video game in the works and you can't talk about it, but that's cool that you're still getting work. I'm happy to know that you're still getting work and all that stuff. Well, for the people at home, bless you, I think. Give the bless you once more. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you moved actually recently. Well, not recently, but more like in the last year. And now you have relocated to somewhere out in the East Coast, from the sounds of it. Yeah, and a kind of more blue. You would think, with New York being, well, blue. Your people, and I'm assuming when you say your people, you mean like all four of you. Oh wow, you have an Amish community? That's different. I don't know about my specific area because we kind of are in the place that a lot of people meme about. Yeah, Florida is the meme in we're the county that's the meme in the meme. Wait, what's that? Florida man? Oh, you mean Polk County? Yeah, we don't go there. That's a little black part right there in the middle. Yeah, we don't go there. We don't have horse and carriage, but I know in St. Augustine, and it might just be because it's St. Augustine, they do. I see a lot of horse and carriage drawn vehicles or whatever you want to call them. And, yeah, I mean, it seems, I wouldn't mind trying it, just to see, just to know the life. So what you're saying is that if they had to work from home, they would learn how to use a computer because it's for work. But if it's not, they won't have a computer in their house. I actually used to be engaged to a semi-Amish woman, kind of Amish. I say semi-Amish because she had an iPhone, and She was kind of blind herself, so it was necessary, but semi-Amish, you know. Real, very good, actually, very good family values as well. Very good woman. Yeah, I've never really met a full-on Amish person before, but if they're to go on by anything that you've said or what I have imagined in my head, I mean, they sound like hard-working, honest people. And speaking of hard-working, honest people, how do you get by nowadays? If you don't mind disclosing, of course. What do you do? Hmm. Well, hopefully, you sound like a busy man, and hopefully all that works out for you. Maybe something happens and you get a promotion or a workload comes in. I mean, you never know. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting paid for it and you like doing it, why not? I'm sorry, though, to inform you, but based on the landscape of the voice acting industry, you do not fall under any of the qualifiers to be a voice actor. For you see, you're not a woman, you're not a non-binary, you're not a minority, and you're not sleeping with any of the directors. But you see, now see, here's the problem. You're still white. I don't know what you look like, but from the first time I heard you, I imagined you with dark hair, like brown or black, and I imagined you a little bit, I guess, I don't want to say olive color, because that sounds weird, but you have a tan to you. A little bit of a tan. Mmm. Okay. Hey, what I'm gonna do, because I'm hearing popping on my end, like a little bit of crackling noise, what I'm gonna do is pull up the stream on my end. I'm gonna mute myself, and you keep the people entertained if you want, if you can. I'm gonna actually check the stream and make sure that it's not crackling, because if it's not crackling, it's just on my end. But because I wanna give the listeners some ear candy, let it pop in their ears, not let their endorphins pop open, not their ears. So, I'm going to be muting myself so I can do that. And editor, once you get a hold of this, please, for the love of all things beautiful, you can edit this out. I have faith in you.
YouTube.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hold on, I have to double check on this.
YouTube Premium image.
Okay, so I am so flipping glad I caught this. You are not able to be recorded. You have to, but I have a way to fix this. You can go into your settings, and it's under your privacy settings. I don't know if it's in the app. It might not be in the app. I've never looked at it like this. You go into the privacy settings. Good lord, if I wouldn't have checked that and I did an entire 2-hour podcast. Yes, I'm here with special guest, Vic Mignogna. Vic's not talking, though. Yeah. I think... Hold on, I think it's a different tab. It would be under your profile. It would be under your profile.
Got it. Share voice?
Yep.
Got it. There we go.
Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, what just happened never happened. That is all edited out. All of it's edited out. Nothing happened. Whew. I'm a bullet dodger. That's what I am.
All right. So, I guess, take two then, huh?
YouTube Premium.
Yeah, let's do take two. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, you know what? All of my parts can stay in, because I just ask questions. Now, if what he can do, and I'll ask him if he's able to do this, and if not, this is live, we're doing it live, it's gonna stay up for a few days. So, let's go back. Oh my gosh. It's Eric Rolon, everybody, I promise you he exists.
Thanks for having me back on.
This is the third time's the charm. Hey, it's like Ricada's stream. It's gotta have some type of boomerism. I mean, I'm only I'm barely even 30. Yeah, that's when boomerism starts, right?
So, yeah, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah, between then and 65, yeah. So, for all of you who are watching the edited version of this, what I was asking Mr. Rolon over here, and he was kindly talking about how he missed anime, or misses anime, or sometimes, and what he does. So if you could run down all that again.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm so sorry, folks.
No, you're quite all right. So went through quite a monumental change between around this time last year and now, where we find ourselves in the present. No longer live in Dallas, Texas, but I'm up inside the Thousand Islands region in upstate New York. I still do acting from home. I have a studio set up, my green screen set up, lighting rigs, and all that. Actually, I 3D printed a camera gimbal, so that's come in handy on a few occasions. Actually, more than one occasion. But still am connected with my agency in Dallas, Texas, and it's for direct bookings only right now. However, I was able to maintain my Ford commercial that I have based in San Antonio. So once a month, they send me up the new commercial, all the new incentives, and I set about recording the visual, the audio for all that. That gets taken by their studio engineer and whipped into a commercial. Worked on a video game in the last several months. Can't say what it is yet. They're going through their, I believe, early marketing phase right now for the game, and not sure when they'll actually have the trailers up and running for it. But that will be pretty exciting, because it's nice to do something more than just audiobooks when it comes to audio, which is what my wife and I actually have been doing in a semi-full-time capacity for the last 7 years. That was really where we both cut our teeth on, I guess, voiceovers and voice acting in general. It's what's helped us keep the lights on, pay the bills, make sure that that our cars have gas in them, that there's food on the table, and it is the gift that keeps giving. We've been working with a company called Podium Audio, which are fabulous purveyors and executors of various audiobook works. And through them, both my wife and I were actually both eligible to join the union, should we desire to. Not sure if and when we are going to, but yeah, to your comment about anime, only in the last couple of months have I actually found myself missing anime. Not so much the corrosive people and attitudes that were permeating through the ranks and the halls at Funimation. It was to the point over there where you couldn't have a genuine conversation with somebody without the fear of reprisal in the form of being blacklisted off certain directors' shows and or being called a racist or misogynist or bigot or homophobe or xenophobe. Any of the labels that people are so quick to slander those that they lack the gray matter to be able to contend with in a linguistic fashion. But I do miss the craft. I miss the craft, just being able to act. I'm an artist, and my business is to create, and so it's painful when you're not able to create in the capacity that you know you're born to create.
And if you're wondering, what was that joke about not being the right thing? Well, you see, I mentioned, as you might have heard, that, and I'm glad I'm sending this out to while you're talking to all the people I know that might watch this. I was sending that out, that's what I was doing. And audio still sounds good, by the way, after we fixed that little fluffer. But what I was saying, or what I was going to say, was that I had made a comment saying that Eric does not fit the voice acting capability or voice acting requirements because he's not gay, he is not non-binary, he's a man, and he's white. And he made the comment. And he made the comment.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I'm actually, so I'm Puerto Rican. However, I am white as the Germans that were holding down Normandy with near black hair. So it's kind of an odd mixture of skin complexion and then hair tonality. But I do tan up pretty well in the summer. So I have kind of olive color going on to my skin.
Yeah, and I mentioned that, like, and again, this will just be in post-production, maybe. I don't know what's gonna happen. It could be dead. It could be nuked next week. YouTube, please. I know Susan's not there anymore, but I will go down for you. I will not go down for you. I will say things nice about you. There, I'll do that. I'll go as far as that. Don't take my YouTube. I've been working on 2 years. Don't take away my baby. But yes, I mentioned it doesn't matter because Eric is still white.
Yep, still white, still good and white. It's funny though, when everything first went tits up, as it were, and I went through my first round of cancellations, came off the heels of me having the gall to post on social media calling the Chinese coronavirus the Chinese coronavirus, and was labeled a horrible racist, so racist and so terrible that I didn't realize quite how racist I was, and that I didn't know what the face of true racism looked like. So I had to firmly but kindly inform the person that I was speaking with on the phone at that time exactly what my family story was. My family came from Spain. They emigrated to Puerto Rico, worked their way up into New York City proper, and assimilated into American life, as it were. And we have had a wonderful go ever since then. My family actually lived through some pretty horrific times, being the targets of racial hatred and violence by several of the gangs in the areas they lived, having to actually move from their homes once in the middle of the night and once in the middle of the day, never to ever return again. Yeah, for fear of death and being burned alive. So I know
but you're a racist. You're a super racist, though. You forget all that stuff that happened in the past. This happened now, and that makes you a super. Yeah, I don't get the stupidity either. Now, answer. You don't have to answer me this. You don't have to answer me this. But was the person you were talking to a white person?
Oh, absolutely. Whiter than myself, actually.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Probably maybe Irish. Yeah, definitely Irish. Descent.
Isn't it weird how all the white people think that they have the gall or the right of way to say that's offensive or that's racist when you may not, A, you might be a part of that group, or B, and this is the big one, they don't care.
Oh yeah, SJWs are so squishy and so frail. They're the real fragile white people.
I think they're the real racists. In fact, we make jokes all the time on the podcast, but in all honesty, real racism is terrible when you put people in a box and think they can only do one thing, like black people should only voice black people. You know who you are, you racist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep. It's
like
also
that.
when people have the gall to look at somebody else based on their skin tone and then say, yes, I'm more privileged than you are, and so now I have to work very hard to help you get a leg up in the world. That is inherently racist. That is you literally telling that person without telling them that you are better than them. You have more than them. Your experiences are richer than theirs ever have been. And now you're going to step down off your ivory tower, the pedestal that you hold yourself up on, to help this little peasant possibly attain to maybe just the outer fringes of this much lauded life and experience that you've been able to indulge in.
Yes,
it's absolute lunacy.
I am going to go out on a limb saying if you are still working prevalently in the anime industry or in the voiceover industry, whatever role it would be that you were given, you would love that role, you'd be happy that you've obtained it, and you would do your damnedest to perform the best to your ability.
Absolutely. Like I said, my business is to create, and whether I'm making people laugh, wince, smile, or cry with my performances, as long as I'm eliciting a true and honest emotion out of them, that's all I'm really concerned with. Which it makes it easy when you have that mindset to play the villainous characters. Because I've played some people in both audiobooks, anime, and movies that I absolutely despise. But how I feel about the words on that script don't matter one iota compared to how I perform those words. Am I performing them believably? Am I embodying that character for however short an amount of time to pull the listener or the viewer in to that imaginary
I hate to read these books, but I just love
that escape from reality for however long it is, and hopefully into pure enjoyment.
I agree. That and see, and insert the Price is Right winter music because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a genuine voice actor. Gasp and awe. Also, I think somebody commented in the stream. I heard my TCS go off, but I didn't hear what it said. And if you are here on the live stream and you're listening to us live, welcome. We love you. We're here for you. We won't touch you. We are adults. Unless you want to be touched. Unless you want to. He can't touch you. He's married. But I'm not. I'm free game.
Single and ready to mingle.
Hey. Only for the bio ladies. Ha ha.
Right.
You gotta be born with that.
you gotta be a bona fide shorty to ride. Absolutely. This
exactly.
Ride doesn't take dudes.
No. That was a tangent. I like those. You know, it's ironic that I do this podcast because some of my friends say I tangent a lot, and I'd be great with this stuff. And I do. I do tangent a lot. We all do. I actually got nothing. I had a long day today. How was your day today?
You know, today was a good one. It was also a very long day. It's been a long month so far, gearing up for a vacation. The first vacation that my family and I will have taken in, probably close to 2 years.
Nice.
Definitely much needed. It's interesting when you work inside the entertainment world, and when you're first coming up, because when you're first coming up, you're having to work all those odd hour shifts.
I just looked up some titles that MR Eric Rolon was in, and one includes Flirting with Fire. Is that correct?
With your comp cards, with your headshots, in the hopes of booking some additional gigs that will keep the lights on and hopefully build out your resume. And so, my wife and I, when we first met, I had been in the professional acting circuit for a few years already, and she had just kind of showed an interest and wanted to do that. and we hit the ground running, the two of us together, and we never stopped. We never stopped running. And there were a lot of times where it was sort of hand to mouth. It was like, oh crap, are we gonna make rent this month? But by the grace of God, through majority of the audiobook work that we were doing, and then eventually when I finally nailed my Ford gig, that pretty much ensured that we were going to be able to do this full time, provided that nothing ill happened to take those gigs away from us. And it's nice to now get to a point where student loans are getting knocked out, and
have you and your wife done titles together?
Because she went and got her master's degree, I got my bachelor's degree, and so you end up coming away with quite a bit of debt, unless you had a full ride or you had generous parents or grandparents who paid your way through school, and you got to do it yourself. So it's nice to get to a point where we're actually able to pump the brakes now. Not that we weren't looking around and enjoying the scenery back over the last 7 years, but now we can enjoy it without thinking the entire time, all right, when's that next project due? All right, when's that next book due? All right, am I recording tomorrow? Ooh, what do I have to be tomorrow? Oh, do I have that audition? Did I get that audition done? Did I send that audition in? Ooh, did I respond to my agent? It's nice to have all that whisked away.
It sounds lovely. In fact, there's a person in chat currently right now. Hi, Heather. She's a personal friend of mine. We went to school together. She has a couple questions for you. The first one, and I'll read it verbatim. I looked at the list of some of the things that Mr. Rolon has performed in, and one of them is called Flirting with Fire.
Enjoy your vacation.
Correct? I think so. To be honest, there's a number of them that I never even really knew the names of. I just walked in and they were like, hey, you're so-and-so inside this. You got 5 minutes in this booth. Hop on in. We'll knock these out. So there's a litany of shows that I never actually knew the titles of. So very possibly Flirting with Fire.
And the answer to the second question, Heather, yes, him and his wife both have recorded audiobooks together, all types of forms, dual narration and duo narration, which you can go further into that. And what is your wife's name on the Audible? So maybe she could look, because we're both into audiobooks, so maybe we'll look them up.
Sure. Yeah, my wife's name on Audible is Kylie Stewart. That's Kylie Stewart, Stewart. She has over 300 audiobook titles under her belt. And I've got, I think, around 74. So when we were first getting into audiobooks, she was booking the bulk of them. And a lot of them were just her recording on. So myself, as an audio engineer, I was able to handle that workload for her.
Wow.
So pretty much for every one that she, or every 4 that she did, I was on one of them as either a dual narrator or a duet narrator, which dual narration, for those who don't know or not familiar with audiobooks, when you have a book like a romance novel where you have 2 people's point of view, you have the guy and the gal, typically it's every other chapter. You'll have her point of view, his point of view. So you obviously have dialogue from both of the characters inside this romance novel going inside any of the chapters. However, if we're doing dual narration and it's my point of view, I would be reading all my dialogue plus all the female characters. I would just be pitching my voice up a little bit and trying to feminize it a touch so it sounds fitting for the character. And then my wife would read for her chapters all the female point of view and then all the male dialogue as well. And so we would go back and forth like that. It'd be, I have a full chapter, she's got a full chapter, and then by the end of it, it just gets lined up one chapter after another, and it gets posted up onto Audible. Whereas duet narration is more like a radio play, where you still have the male and female point of view. However, if my wife is recording a chapter, every time it comes to a bit of male dialogue, she'll leave a gap in the audio for me. She'll usually snap her fingers twice, and that shows as 2 spikes in the waveform when I'm doing my editing, so I can see, oh, okay, that must be a line for me there. And so I'll go back in once she's recorded that first chapter, or however many chapters. We kind of do them in batches. So she'll hand me the ones she's worked on, I'll hand her the ones that I've worked on, also leaving gaps for her female dialogue, and then we will fill in all the male dialogue and then all the female dialogue in each other's chapters, so that you have this actual conversation taking place between 2 people of the opposite sex. So when the guy's, he's trying to talk this girl down off the ledge, you're hearing this actual back and forth conversation instead of just me talking to myself. So it's a fun way to record.
Now, what do you call those types of recordings? Because I've heard them, it's not often, but sometimes they do, where they, for example, it'll be like chapter 1, and
That
it'll
sounds
start...
cool. Dual narration. I've listened to a few with dual narration.
Heather was commenting, so I was listening to that. My apologies. What I was saying was, like, say, example, chapter 1. You're reading as the male narrator. You read you read like this is blah 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 blah, published by yada yada, written by yada so and so, Mr. So and so or Miss So and so, to be gender specific. And while in the middle of that same chapter, it switches perspective. Is that still considered dual narration?
So it sort of depends. If the author decides right out the gate that they want the book to be dual narration, then yeah, if the perspective shifts in that chapter, then typically the person reading the chapter... Well, actually, hold on a second. That's a good question, actually. Because say we have page breaks inside books as we're reading along, where you'll have perspective shifts. So long as it's still the female point of view, then Kylie will continue, like, usually when there's a page break, if there is a shift between who the character is, that's now going to be the actual point of view, it'll be like this 2-second pause, and then they'll say like the name. Maybe the name is like Carl, and her name is Phyllis. And so if there is a point of view shift, which we've had to do this on a couple of books, then we'll switch over. It'll still be dual narration. However, whoever has the point of view will take over recording. So we've had a couple where the point of view has shifted at least 3 or 4 times in a single chapter, which is pretty annoying. Because in my mind, if you're going to switch over point of view, you might as well just go ahead and start a whole new chapter. Or if you're going to do more than one page break in a chapter, you may as well just start a whole new chapter. So yeah, that would be one where we would switch in that.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know if there was a different type of, like, if there was a different terminology for that, because what I like, and this is my personal take on audiobooks, because mine tend to be a little bit on the spicier side. No offense to any male narrators, because a lot of them are good. I mean, I know one right now, he's pretty dang good. He's got a couple of books under his belt. Not much, but some of his books, you might know of him. His name's Eric. But I don't want to, if I'm listening to a spicy book, I don't want to hear a bunch of dudes. And I doubt you have recorded any spicy books
God. Only like 95%.
I'm only 95%? Or not?
Yeah, I'd say 95%. Yeah, a couple of them were, well, hold on. They were monster novels. Actually, probably more like 98% have been spicy books.
Wow, a check is a check, but I genuinely didn't think you would go about that.
There are varying degrees of spicy, as I'm sure you're well aware, when it comes to romance novels. I prefer the ones that are like the rom-coms, those romantic comedies, and so I've done a number of those. And those, they'll have a sex scene or two inside of them, but typically the story is more about the meet cute moment and then where the story goes from there with all the hilarious hijinks. We've done a lot of work on a couple of different motorcycle series. One of them is this. It's like a paranormal, I guess, sort of paranormal, but also supernatural-esque series in which you've got vampires, and you've got these guys who all have their own special abilities, like pyrokinesis, or telepathy, or telekinesis. And those are fun because it's kind of like X-Men, only they ride Harleys. And those, they'll usually they're because of the biker quality. They're a little bit more on the harder edged. And then you've got a litany of different genres under the main umbrella. The ones that I do steer clear from are the bully romance and the dark romance, because those I find to be just typically very, very trashy, and
Yeah.
extremely graphic to a gratuitous level that really doesn't need to be in those books. It's almost like they're just kind of doing it because they can, and usually it's on a really taboo subject. And I get it. You're out there trying to peddle your pulp, so you're trying to draw people in with your lurid subject matter. And and I have done a few of those. My wife and I, we came to a certain agreement and said, we're done doing any kind of dark romance, no bully romance for us. And then we have like our lines we won't cross.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is weird that someone like me would do such a large amount of romance.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying I expect you to do Christian wholesome things, but I didn't expect. I mean, I didn't take. I mean, it's a spice of life.
Yeah, it's what's been nice is I've been able to sort of parlay out from having to do quite as many as I was before, and I'm able to focus my attention on other things. And to anybody out there who would step back and go, oh wow, this guy calls himself a Christian, how can he go ahead and read these spicy books? To them I would have to say, look, how I feel about the words doesn't matter, again, so much as that I actually say the words and perform the words. If I'm being hired to record for a character, if I'm being hired to record a book, those are not my words. Those are not my feelings. Those are not my intents. I can give life to a character in a book, on a TV show, in a video game, in a movie, and I don't see a problem with that. Now, granted, we all have our lives. Like some people, they won't do nudity, which my hat's off to them. Some people won't kiss someone because they may be in a committed relationship. They won't indulge in a love scene, and it's sort of the Romans 14 approach. For one, if it's a sin, then it's a sin to them. If it's not for another, then it's not. And even in all that, like there are varying degrees where, even though they aren't your words or your feelings, that like I said already, my wife and I don't tread, because we like to hold ourselves to a bit of a higher standard than to engage in some of the real hardcore filth.
So sorry, ladies out there, and the small percentage of men. If you wanted to hear Eric go all gruff sounding, I'm gonna whatever, then you got. Yeah, I'm sorry, people. You're out of luck.
Well, I don't know if we can say they're out of luck. I mean, you can definitely find them out there on Audible. As for the real dark sinister shit, yeah, that's going to be a whole lot less frequent out there.
So what I'm saying is, if I look up your name in Audible, I'm not going to get a book where you're creating a satanic ritual, right?
God, I hope not.
Oh God, how would you not know?
Well, I guess it would depend if I was doing like a how to Satanism book, which I don't think I'd ever want to read.
No, that's just that's too much temptation for a human person.
Yeah.
But speaking about anime, because a lot of people, so we're gonna ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't guessed by now, we're pretty free speech enthusiasts. We enjoy free speech. We enjoy good banter. So some of the subject matter you're probably going to hear is going to be a little bit, maybe a little bit offensive. We're letting you know this now. And if you disagree with us, awesome. Don't be rude. Just don't be rude. You can be cool if you disagree with us. That's awesome. Just present it in if you're going to comment about it. We at the Paradise Podcast love your comments, of course, but just don't be a douche. And don't hack my channel.
Here.
What I was going to say is that words and such. Oh yes, it'd be really weird if you wrote a satanic book or read a satanic book like that. I was going to ask it while I'm stalling for time is Matt Walsh or Andrew Schultz. Are you familiar with either of those?
I am.
What are your thoughts on the whole anime being fully satanic? I don't agree with that sentiment, but I understand. Here's what I understand about that. I understand that to most Japanese, Christianity is like a fun, interesting, like a mythology for them, and
Yes.
and I get that. And going back to what you said, I try to avoid watching a lot of very demon heavy like influence shows like a Chainsaw Man or a Black Butler or a Demon Slayer, something like that. I try to I would not watch those shows going forward in my life. Some people have thought I'm stupid for that, but it is what it is. It's my choice. And why I was asking, and that's why I'm asking you that, because people have said that is an Andrew Schultz or Matt Walsh. I think it was Andrew Schultz who said the anime is satanic thing. And I want to know your thoughts as a Christian white man.
Sure. White man. So, on the whole, no, anime is not 100% demon born. Or satanic. There's definitely some satanic anime and manga out there, for sure. I mean, you can look up shows like Bible Black, which is centered around a school system in which the faculty are performing these really arcane, satanic, witchcraft-filled rituals, and they're essentially turning the class of students there into a bunch of sex-crazed maniacs.
With Futanari penises.
Yeah. But you can look at a show like that and go, yeah, that's definitely satanic. There are like a litany of other shows out there that have that satanic edge, like La Blue Girl is another one. Largely anything with tentacles. However, there are a litany of stories out there as well that are simply good, clean fun. You can look up an anime like One Piece, where it's all about pirates, and it's whimsical, and it's big, and it's loud, and the characters are brassy. It's to blanket term all of anime as being 100% satanic is retarded. For anybody to say that, they have zero understanding of the genre that is anime as a whole. And they have even less understanding of the individual subgenres within anime as a form of entertainment. And I know Matt Walsh kind of tried to walk back his statements. He meant what he said when he said it. And whether that was because he didn't bother to think through the words that he was going to say before he said them, or he was genuinely ignorant until finally somebody gave him enough of a verbal smacking back for him to take a second look and go, oh yeah, I was wrong. Whichever one it was, the outcome was still the same. He made a mistake, and he was wrong what he said in his judgment. Now, I say all that to say, if you have a reservation inside your heart about watching a certain show, like there are certain people that I grew up with.
There are amazing life lessons to be learned from anime that totally align with the Christian
maybe
values.
the language was too aggressive for them, or maybe they didn't want to see any sex acts performed on screen. Maybe the nature of what you find in an R-rated movie would have been too violent for them, or of too much of a sexual nature, and that's totally fine. Even Jesus says in the good book, it's not what goes into a person that corrupts them, but what comes out of a person. Now, the same person that would say that anime is all 100% satanic is more often than not going to be somebody who is a fan of Tolkien or a fan of C.S. Lewis. Now, I'm almost 100% certain that Matt Walsh is a fan of both of those writers, and has probably seen the Lord of the Rings movie series, and may have read the Lord of the Rings, may have read The Hobbit, may have read Tolkien and C.S. Lewis's works, may have read the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series, the Chronicles of Narnia, may have seen the movies, and would put those on a completely different plane apart from anime. However, if we really want to get down to the nitty-gritty about the content of Tolkien's works and C.S. Lewis's works, we have a very, very heavy bent on magic. not just magic, but wizardry and witchcraft. Now, according to biblical roots and according to biblical history, and according to arcane history in general, we know that wizardry and witchcraft stemmed from Satanism and Satan worship, 100%, going as far back as the Mesopotamian regions, and then those who worship the star people. We're going all the way back to the antediluvian age. So to say that anime is 100% satanic and that people should abstain from it, while at the same time indulging in the fantasy world that is Middle Earth, or the fantasy world that is Narnia, is absolute hypocrisy. 100% absolute hypocrisy. Now, the crux of it is, or I guess here's the rub, is that for those of us who are sensible, intelligent people who are able to separate reality from fantasy, we can watch something colorful like Harry Potter, or like Trigun, or Cowboy Bebop, or pick any magical girl anime out there. We can watch something like that, and we can recognize, oh yeah, this is about a subject matter that I would never engage in, because I would never want to try and conjure up a demon, or conjure up a spirit, or spray a room full of people full of bullets. I never want to do anything like that. However, I can enjoy it for the entertainment value. I'm not going to, because maybe, who knows, maybe inside Harry Potter, or in Lord of the Rings, or in Chronicles of Narnia, or in Magical Girl, whatever anime, maybe they are actually saying, honest to goodness, real incantations. And so I wouldn't be of a mind to suddenly just, once I'm done watching the movie, start bouncing around my house, rattling off these incantations, potentially conjuring evil spirits to come and give me old hag syndrome while I'm asleep at night. I wouldn't be doing any of that crap. I would be enjoying it for its entertainment value, the colorful nature of it, and going, okay, well, that was a cool story. On to more of my life now.
And that's how the river flows. It runs and goes.
It comes down to the individual person. Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and queue up. What is it? Devil's Rejects, and sit down with a gigantic bowl of popcorn and pop that on as a family feature on a Friday night for the rest of my family to enjoy. No, those are not my kind of movies, because it's just gratuitous violence, and then there's all sorts of sexual themes within. There is a line, and now while God and the Good Book may be 100% black and white, when it comes to entertainment and when it comes to just the world in general, there are so many shades of gray within them. And like I said before, where something may be horribly corrupting to one person, another person may view it as not. But you have to know where your line is, and know what you consider to be an exercise in frivolity, an exercise in corruption, or an exercise in paganism, or an exercise in polytheism. And maybe you don't want to see that displayed on screen. Maybe you don't want to read about it. So, okay, don't read about it. But if it comes to those themes being part of something that's meant purely for entertainment, then I wouldn't condemn somebody else for simply watching it or simply reading it. Now, if you were reading like a how-to book on conjuring dead people from graveyards, because you had intent to want to go out there and conjure dead people out of graveyards, then I might say to the person, wouldn't recommend doing that. However, even as a biblical researcher, I have a number of books inside my library that I read and will be reading because I am concerned in knowing my enemy. Like the Satanist Bible, the writings of Anton LaVey, the writings of Aleister Crowley. Doesn't mean that I support what they wrote or what they stood for, one iota. However, I can watch them, I can read them for my own educational purposes in a desire to learn and be able to better beat back the darkness.
I have heard that take before. Actually, a friend of mine back in the day had told me that he read multiple different literature of scriptures and stuff like that, in order to get more of an understanding. I don't want to know what they had to say. I know from other people documentations of them, like Dave Hunt, if you're familiar with his work at all. He did a whole thing. I don't even know how long ago it was, maybe in the 70s or 80s, but it was called The Revival of Evil. And it was a documentary series on the Church of Satan and people that have been involved in the Church of Satan and how it's affected their lives and stuff. And that's about as deep as I want to go. I did find out, though, that one of the Soul Calibur characters has the same name as a demon.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. There's a lot of anime out there where they borrow names of angels and demons. They borrow names of the fallen angels. They borrow names from like Anunnaki lore. They borrow names straight from the Book of Enoch, because there's so many angels listed off in, Enoch 1, 2, and 3, and then in the Book of Giants, that they make their way into I guess pop culture, as it were, on a regular basis.
I've never heard of the Book of Enoch before in my life. Is it like H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah, no. Book of Enoch is it's a piece of antediluvian literature, so pre-flood literature. The book that we do have it's supposed to be the experiences and or writings of Enoch. He was the father of Lamech, who ended up fathering Noah.
Oh.
Yeah, and so he's recorded in Genesis as walking with God, and then he was not, for the Lord took him. He was the first person that was harpazoed or snatched away, the second person being Elijah. So there was this book, and it's a very, very old book. It's part of the Apocrypha, which are a collection of books like 1 and 2 Maccabees, which they deal with a wartime happening for God's people Israel, and it's what the entire holiday of Hanukkah is built around, the 8 nights of Hanukkah. And so these are books that they weren't canonized as being part of the Bible, but a lot of them are historical books, and some of them are books of prophecy, and a lot of them are great resources for being able to look at the language of the day, and then being able to compare specific words either in the Greek or the Hebrew into the Bible and get a better understanding of exactly what this word meant at this time and what it's used for. Because like the word tree, I believe there's 20 different words in Hebrew that mean tree, but each one of those words is a tree in a different state of its life, like a tree in bud, a tree that's flowering, a tree that has leaves, a tree that's dying, a tree in the fall, a tree in the winter, a tree producing fruit. So it gives a greater degree of context to the words that are used in ancient literature. Enoch being one of those ones that is part of the Apocrypha and is sort of an apocalyptic book. So there are parallels that it shares with the Bible, which it runs like 99% close to the Bible. And that's Enoch 1. Enoch 2 and 3, they get a little weird. And they're typically not believed to have been written by the same writer. But they're still good reads if you're interested in going down the rabbit hole of the Watchers, the giants of old, the Nephilim, the men of renown, and I guess learning more about the spirit world as a whole.
I've never heard that brought up before. You're the first I've ever heard talk about that type of stuff.
Actually, my recent live stream that I did was with a gentleman. His name is Gary Wayne, and some years ago he wrote a book called The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. Fantastic book. But Gary spent over 30 years researching just about every single piece of ancient lore surrounding gods, goddesses, centaurs, giants, monsters, everything from like the Sumerian line of mythology, the Greek mythology, Indian mythology, Chinese, Japanese, everything. Literally reading everything he could get his hands on. And he wrote this book to show where you find a lot of the comparisons between the mythologies of the past and the legends of the past in contrast and comparison to stories inside the Bible. And it's a fascinating read.
I've actually heard this theory because I was talking to somebody. I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and because we were talking about lust and anger and lust are usually coupled together, and he mentioned Dionysus. And
yes.
And if, for those of you who do not know about Dionysus, Dionysus was, I believe, the god of parties.
Yep, the god of partying
and orgies.
Yep.
And he would have, I don't know what the actual term is, but pretty much like his concubines would go into the villages, and people would just start getting extremely roused to the point of an orgy starting. But if you refused this woman for some reason, she would start going berserker mode and rip you to shreds.
Pretty much. It was hey, you know how I know you're getting laid tonight? Because I'm way stronger than you, kind of a moment.
Yes, exactly what happened. Yeah, pretty much. Snoo, death by snoo, exactly.
Yeah, well, if you feel like going down the rabbit hole, the most recent live stream that Gary and I did was all on the Book of Enoch and its parallels and contrasting moments with the Bible. And so there's a lot of really good information inside there, and it's sort of a fun time as well.
And I'm assuming that's on your YouTube channel. And for those of you who want to get his YouTube channel, what is that? What is the name of that? So I can have either I or somebody I know put it in the link.
Sure. My YouTube channel is called Angel Legend. It's all one word, ANGELEGEND. And you'll find two things on that page. You'll find biblical research and how to build Halo armor. Kind of an odd combo, but that's what I got for you.
I mean, Jay, a lot of Bible stuff, a lot of biblical knowledge has to do with angels. Angels wear halos. It works. Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Loosely. As loose as a, hold on. I can do this. I can be safe for work. As loose as the city nightwalker is after a few pints of alcohol. There we go. Yeah, I worked that in real good. Good lord.
Seamless.
First try, yes. Now, I don't know if anybody's still in chat, and if they are in chat, do you have any questions? I mean, if you're still here after all the Christianic talk and after all the anime talk, thank you. And if you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. We love you. We will not touch you. We are not like some YouTubers where they will talk to their fans and try and coerce them for sex. However, I got nothing, actually. I'm not going to say that. That's too...
Yes, no, we promise. There will be no touching. Actually, this kind of brings me to
I liked, I shared, and I am already subscribed.
An interesting moment that I had for myself, and that's when I realized that I wanted to do more than just acting in my life. Because from the age of 6, I wanted to be an actor. Like, I remember watching some of the early Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen films and thinking, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. I would love to do that. And deciding then and there that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to be an actor. And I figured, well, you know, since I'll be doing acting and art, when I'm not doing one, I can just do the other, and that's how I'll live my life. And then you spend the next 20 years. So this is jumping ahead now. I'm like 28 now, and living in Dallas, Texas, and doing the acting thing in the professional circuit. My wife and I were full-time doing it, and I get posed a bunch of questions by my cousin about Christianity, questions that I just didn't have answers to. But I've been pretty much a lifelong Christian my entire life, And so I had to say to him, look, I don't have answers for you at present, but if you give me some time, I will do some digging and I will find these answers for you. And so I set about answering like 6 or 7 questions that he had. And they had to do with slavery in the Bible and cruelty and suffering. They had to deal with genocide in the Bible and a number of really tough themes that a lot of people have a hard time answering. And so when I set about finding the answers, I ended up falling in love with the research. And I'd been doing my YouTube channel for quite a while now, in which I did tutorial videos on how to make Spartan armor from the Halo series. So I was really good at teaching. I've always been good at teaching, and I've been good at really explaining things in an understandable and graspable way for people. And so it ended up rolling really seamlessly into me doing a apologetics podcast and being able to break the Bible down for people in these bite-sized chunks that just make perfect sense. And I fell in love with that, and I actually found myself on the way to, I think it was either on the way to a gig.
You make Spartan armor. Do you sell IT?
Maybe to deliver something. I used to deliver groceries just for extra money when I was back in Dallas. But I found myself driving, and I said, you know what, God? You know I love doing acting, I love working on anime, but I also love this research stuff. If I could only do one of these for the rest of my life, I want it to be the apologetics. So I said, so if you don't want me doing anime anymore, well, I guess you better rip it away from me. And I guess he took that as this moment to be like, yeah, all right, kid, sure, pull the plug.
Do you mean an anime or in a book?
All right, we actually have some questions. A couple of questions I'm getting clarification to, but one of them, with that being said, not to immediately skirt off what you just said,
Sure.
which was a lot of things. Yeah, no, it's the hint be taken, and then you just
Either or both.
ride with it. Oh my, okay, either or both. The first question that I received is, what's the worst or best scene you've done either in a book or in an anime?
Ooh, let's see. The worst scene.
Also, people are wanting to know if you sell your Spartan armor.
Oh, I do not sell the Spartan armor, unfortunately. I ended up giving away one suit that I had made, but I don't sell them. They take a lot of work, and it wouldn't be the price of them for how much work goes into them would be far more than anybody's going to want to spend. Let's see, worst scene in a book probably was for a book. I don't want to give it away. But it was sort of like a Fight Club moment. Long story short, the book centered around this guy who was in love with this girl. This girl suffered from multiple personality disorder. I think she had 7 or 8 alters. Some of the alters were male, some of them were female, and one of them was a cat. And there was a scene inside there where at least 2 of the alters, I think one of them was built around her father, who was an abuser and an incestuous rapist, and then the other one was built around like some sleazy con man-esque guy. And there's a moment inside the book where this girl and all of her, I guess, good alters, if you will, band together to go kill the 2 evil alters and essentially banish them from her mind. Now, there's a scene playing out inside there where you have both female and male alters that are in sort of this war together, and one of them is spearheading the whole thing. He's a male alter, but he's this good male alter. Anyway, he ends up killing the evil alter inside this girl's mind. But outside in the real world, she's at a dinner party at this Italian restaurant, stabbing herself in the chest with a steak knife in front of everybody. And so that was probably the roughest scene that I've ever had to perform.
Wow. Did you have to perform any of, like, I'm assuming with a character like that, you had to perform some of, like, or act out some of the evil things they were doing as portraying the man?
Yes. So, like, you have my wife reading the female point of view, I'm reading the male point of view, and I believe this was, like, the point of view shifts. And so there's the real life character is screaming at this girl like, what is going on, what, stop, and the alters are breaking through to communicate to him. So instead of it being her voice talking to him, you're hearing the alter's voice, and so it's this internal battle going on where there's all this vulgarity and language, and people are, punches are being thrown, bats are being swung, knives are being stabbed. So it was there was actually
Oh man, I
want to
know what book this is. It sounds interesting.
Within this book, it's a really intense read. The book is called The Whispers and the Roars, written by Kay Webster, and there's another chapter inside the book that was so heavy emotional that I actually broke down and started crying in the booth. It took me about 10 minutes to get my composure back together to finish the chapter I was on.
My goodness, that's insane.
Very emotionally heavy.
Wow. I didn't know. Wait, I didn't know you exuded those emotions. Are you not robot?
I know. It's crazy. Us actors here, we keep them typically so under lock and key. You rarely get a chance to hear somebody pour their soul out if it's not put to an animated character
or to a psychiatrist's office.
Yeah, right.
I genuinely feel that most, if not all, voice actors are heavily broken individuals, because acting is just another form, in my opinion, acting is just another way to lie, and they have to pull up traumatic moments out of the blue if it's called for, and I just think they're broken individuals because they're acting, and at some point they're going to get to the point where it's like, am I really the real person because I've been acting for so long?
You're so correct for so many people. Now, granted, you have a litany of people out there that are also not quite so broken, but by and large, those of us, I want to try and say myself not included, but I have my own brokenness that I had to wrestle with and then conquer throughout my life. So at one point, I was definitely a broken individual. I don't see myself as that anymore because I had to surmount so much. But by and large, professional actors, professional performers in every genre, they were the misfits back in high school. They were the drama clubbers. They were the ones who were doing the school plays. They were singing in chamber choir. They were the ones getting together with their friends trying to start improv groups. They were the ones that just did not fit. They were the socially awkward nerds. They were the ones that were, more often than not, offensive to the eye to even look at. And so there's a certain amount of tortured soul that ends up getting poured out, whether it be into a microphone or on screen, that a lot of actors and actresses carry with them. And being that when you hit fame at an early enough age, you sort of stop growing. And so it's sort of the downfall of many otherwise good person. You see this a lot actually inside the anime world, where a lot of the big time anime greats nowadays, at least greats in terms of body of work, they hit their success when they were like 24 or 25, and then they stopped growing emotionally and mentally because everybody was telling them, oh wow, you're amazing, we love you, oh my gosh, we love what you do, you're fantastic, don't change. And so they don't, and they stay stuck as that perpetually 25-year-old person, because essentially in their mind they reached the apex of what it is to be them. And when you have people that pour their hearts into any kind of performance medium, especially acting, you tend to live a little bit harder than those around you. And you tend to, if you're somebody who's told so often, oh wow, we love you, you're fantastic, you can do no wrong, you start doing things just to see what the hell you can get away with, to see just how far you can push things. And so many people, they don't learn from that. Like, I was at a point in my life where I lived harder than most people, and I would push the bounds and see what I could get away with. And then I at least had enough blunder-filled moments in those sober wake-up call moments to step back and go, I do not like the person I am, and I do not like who I could become if I continue down this road. Thank God I never ever crossed the bounds into true corruption. Usually my nonsense came from me drinking one too many and then saying something stupid to somebody that I really cared about. Um, but some people, they live in that zone and they never ever leave it. And so you're absolutely correct. There's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of psyche trauma that people deal with inside the performing arts world that either never gets addressed or comes out in their work all the time.
Yeah, somebody who would follow under the misfits category just because I'm a blind guy, I can relate. As somebody who, I mean, I have a passion for acting. I really do. Like sometimes because I live, my living situation is like there's a bunch of people living in one house, so landlord can hear me talking if he's here. Last week I played Corpse Party, which is a fun game. I can understand why some people might not like it, but it's a very fun horror game with a good story. And it's all in Japanese. No voice acting in English whatsoever. But there's an entire fan dub for the entirety of the first game. Every chapter, everything is read. It doesn't matter if it's text on the screen. It doesn't matter if a character is saying it. It gets read. So what I do with my friend is we share play, which is like screen sharing, but he can take over the control and pretty much play the game for me. Cool. He tells me where we're at, and I listen to what words he's saying because he can read the words in English. I cannot because of blindness, and I act it out. And I'll tell you what, I acted out like a good hour of that. The scenes having to play both male and female, and the ability to scream is such a liberating ability to just scream at the top of your lungs. As a character, it's cool that you get to act that out because I just like acting. It's the only way I really can act with the fact that I can't read regular words on a piece of paper. And that's stemming back from the whole misfits being psyche broken or psyche traumatic. That yelling, for me, not even getting paid for it, just yelling and playing a video game and acting out a scene was liberating enough for me to actually really like smile and be happy and start not let it get me down, more or less. So I could only imagine what somebody who's gone through the real stuff, I'm talking like the stuff that goes on movie theater or movie sets with a child actor, if you catch my drift, Mr. Dan Schneider action. Yeah, I could highly imagine what somebody like is going through that and surviving to this day, and not being not acting it out in some way.
Oh yeah, it's honestly that's actually why I am so glad that I didn't hit fame at a really young age, because I know it would have corrupted me. I know it would have broken me, because I know the kind of person that I am. By the grace of God, I grew up in a godly home, and I had good morals instilled in me, which kept me, like I said, from crossing the bounds into true corruption. I know plenty of people who they were essentially looking at their co-stars and their fans as a veritable buffet of skin and sexual delights that was never ever me. And I know it's because of my Christian upbringing. Like I said, my hang up was I used to not have a limit when I would drink, and one would turn into 6, and then suddenly Eric would say something dumb and ruin the mood, and I would feel like a total idiot the next day. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. Never should have done or said any of that crap. But again, that Christian morality that I'd grown up with, that eventually me living as a prodigal for a number of years and getting to a point where I was reaching up to touch rock bottom, it really shook me awake. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this mess. I'm done with this kind of obnoxious life. There's got to be so much more. And that was when I really started taking my acting career so much more seriously, as well as my faith so much more seriously. And in some degrees, it's been an even harder uphill battle now, because it's so easy to live adversely, but it's hard to walk the line. It's really hard to walk the line, because you kind of paint a target on your back, and even in that, it's been the most rewarding walking the line. Because maybe I don't get as many gigs as somebody who's willing to sleep with a director, or someone who's willing to do some naughty favor for someone that is in a position to give them the work. Maybe I'm not booking as many roles as them, but at least I have my integrity, which I never ever gave up. And that I will remain with.
And something I've noticed, and people of the channel has also brought up, they looked at your credits as an actor, as a voice actor, anime specifically, and they went after a certain point, Eric's roles just started to deplete. Like after, I believe he said, it was either after Demon Lord Retry or after My Hero Academia, your roles kind of ceased to be. And you could credit this or not, or you can verify this or not, but I think that was when your opinions as a person were starting to be known, and that's when the cancellation slowly began.
Yep, that is. It would have actually been like just before FunnyCon 2020. It was the online convention that took place, Funimation set up during the 2020 lockdowns. Yeah. And it was shortly before that I had said what I said, and the whole thing stems from me seeing a video online of these doctors. It was this summit taking place in the nation's capital, and it was just a still shot of these of this podium when these doctors were coming up, and they were talking about the advances in medical technology and treatments for the Chinese coronavirus, and they were talking about things like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and monoclonal antibodies, which are things that we all know work, and work very, very well, and always did, but were silenced by mainstream media outlets. Only until recently, where you hear people rattling them off now as essentially household names. And because I didn't know what news organization had taken the video, it turned out it was Breitbart, which I have no beef with Breitbart. I think they're great. People, they have their issues with Breitbart, and since there was this little bee twirling around at the bottom of the video, which there was no commentary by any of their interviewers at all. It was just a still shot of these doctors, these verified doctors, because Breitbart filmed it. People kept writing on this thread that, oh, they can't bring themselves to watch the video because Breitbart put it up. They refused to watch the video because I called it the Chinese coronavirus, and people just started dogpiling on, and it was literally an overnight thing. The plug just got pulled, and suddenly everybody was looking at me as like I'm some sort of psychopathic leper for daring to say the quiet part out loud. And when I shared the video, I didn't even say that I was 100% in agreement with these doctors or that I disagree with them. I simply said, what these doctors are saying about beating the Chinese coronavirus sounds really hopeful. Give it a watch. That's all I said. And people lost their ever-loving minds. Come to find out, even up to a year later, there was still talk going on about the whole fiasco. When my name would get brought, and I learned this from people working in the industry who were my friends still, when my name would get brought up in conversation, people would typically go, Eric Rolon, that guy? And my friends actually stood up for me and said, yeah, actually, he's this and that, and he's that and that. And, during a really dramatic freeze that happened in Dallas where people's power went out, we took a bunch of people in to our place because we did have power and had plenty of food. And we just said, hey, bring the contents of your fridge with you so it doesn't go bad. We'll cook it up here. You guys can stay as long as you need. And they recounted that to the person who was given the stink eye when my name came up, and the person was like, oh, really? They're like that? And they're like, yeah, he's like that. What you've heard is all lies and fabrications. But once word gets out inside a circle like those of Funimation, and how interconnected the people there are with places like Bang Zoom or Okratron or the DFW entertainment world as a whole, it spreads like cancer. Absolutely like cancer. And like I said in my prayer that I have between myself and God, I found it ripped away from me. So that year later, when I found out people were still talking about it, I said, you know what, I can nail my own coffin shut. Let's go ahead and clear the air here. And that was when I did the streams with Nick Cicada. And that put the final nail into,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was like, once I went on Ricada, that put the final nail into the anime career. Because I'm like, look, I'm not just going to go out with a bunch of pansies and douchebags trying to call me the worst thing, essentially, since Hitler, without a fight. I'm going to go ahead and blow the whole lid open on this entire thing here. And I'm going to go ahead and tell the truth about what goes on, what happens there, what really is the truth of that entire world. And that all but ensured it. And that was, like, up to that point, the only person that I had really been working with was Jerry Jewell occasionally on some stuff. And then with Joel McDonald on some things. And I'd also been working with Raleigh Pickens over at Okratron. But those are the only three that would touch me during that whole time.
Yeah, it's really kind of put me out of the whole, that besides my blindness, that's kind of what put me out of the whole voice acting sphere. Like, I want to do this. I want to do voice acting because I can't act, I think. And if I don't know, I can do it. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And it seems like with that crowd, my friends can attest. They're like, Brad, you say too much weird, crazy stuff on the internet and in person. You would not survive 5 minutes at that place. It'd be like Eric Cartman going to a synagogue.
Dude, I tell you what, it's tough in entertainment because entertainment, it's so left. And actually, there were two more I'm gonna add to that list that did work with me during that time. One was Stephen Hoff over at Okratron, and the other one was also Tia Ballard, who had put me in as a lead on one of her shows called A3, which is a beautiful and pure show. But inside the entertainment world, it is so left-leaning, so left-leaning, and so closed off to anybody who has a difference of opinion. But yet, the people that make it up were the misfits, the ones who just wanted to be accepted, the ones who just wanted to be held, the ones who just wanted to be friended. And yet, they can be so closed-minded, so venomous in the name of tolerance to anybody who has a difference of opinion or difference of belief, that it's absolutely disgusting, and it's completely hypocritical to who they once were or who they claim to be. It's amazing how cruel-intentioned people can be in the name of tolerance or the name of acceptance. Blows my mind, but that's literally it. That's the duality of being a part of entertainment. Is you're either part of the psychopathic mob, or you're a person who has to, in order to maintain work, keep your mouth shut about literally everything. Or you're like me and you say, you know what, having the work is not worth me having to be silent about the truth, and you say, fuck it.
Or you're a badass and you do both, because I've been in this business for 30 years, they can't do ish to me. My name is literally in the Guinness Book of World Records, or whatever the case may be. I can say what I want.
Pretty much.
And I don't think you've got to that status unless you've been like, I don't know, Tony Oliver is the first name that comes to mind just because he's been doing it since the 80s, or somebody like Wendy Lee. But that's besides the point. Yeah, no, it's very toxic sounding. I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. I would be like, dude, you, man.
It was so hard. It was so hard because, like, that was when the cancellation happened the first time around, and I was really broken up for the first 48 hours. I was like, oh my gosh, there I did. I went and did it. I ruined it all, ruined everything, because it didn't just cancel me, it canceled my wife because she's married to me. People just assume that she's crazy like me. That first 48 hours, I was like, man, I was just getting dog-piled on. But then it dawned on me that, you know, I've not been being true to myself. I've not been being true to the feelings and emotions that I have inside me, because a lot of the things that I would want to say online or want to write, I would write all out and then I would delete, because I was more afraid of man's opinion and more concerned with man's opinion than speaking the truth. Now, granted, you don't have to comment on every single thing that you see online, but when it came to things that I had a first-hand knowledge of and a first-hand understanding of, and actually had some weight and gravitas behind what I wanted to say, I wasn't saying them. I was driving home from Funimation, overthinking every single interaction that I had with people there. I'm like, oh crap, they didn't laugh at that one joke. Oh, they probably think I'm a racist now. Like, oh crap, I probably shouldn't have said that one thing. And maybe I shook their hand weird. And then that leads into your overthinking every single line. Like, oh man, I could have given that line better. Oh, they're probably never going to hire me again. And it all stemmed from the anxiety of not living authentically and living truthfully to who I was. That this ball of anxiety knotted up inside of me because I couldn't have a genuine conversation. I couldn't just shoot the breeze with somebody without fear of them being like, yeah, Eric Rolon, turns out he's a Republican. Don't work with him anymore. That was literally my every single day there. And that's how it is for anybody who is Christian or who is right-leaning in their political views at places like Funimation and Crunchyroll, at places like Bangsu, just in entertainment in general. It just breaks you up on the inside, because if in order to indulge in and maintain your career in that, you have to just shut up about everything. And the friends that you do have within the industry are typically held at arm's length because you don't know that you can trust them to not act like a bunch of D-bags and take away from you your livelihood.
And then you have your D-bag friends that are just D-bags because you're their friends.
Yeah, yeah. You have your friends and your family that love you in spite of yourself. And you have those that will stand by you. Unfortunately, it was like probably 70% of the people that I met and knew in Dallas that I thought we were friends. I thought we were at least close enough to be honest with each other. They left. Just totally abandoned. Totally turned tail and ran the other direction. A lot of them inside the anime voiceover world. And it was seemingly from this place of non-association. They didn't want to be even connected to me whatsoever anymore after that whole thing. And I had people actually encourage me to tell my story. And so I did. I told it on Nick Ricada. And I remember having a conversation with my wife when the whole cancellation happened. I said, look, babe, I said, the gloves are off now. My gloves are off. Because she knew that I'd been wanting to do a podcast for a long time. It was a Christian apologetics podcast, which was giving a snapshot of the Bible itself, but also juxtaposing that against the backdrop of the world itself. And I said, look, you know that I have this desire to engage in the culture war as well as be involved in Christian apologetics. I said, I have got to speak. I cannot be muzzled anymore. I have to unmuzzle myself, and I have to speak, and I have to speak the truth. And so she said, okay, you get your show up off the ground and, essentially run as far as it takes you. So that was when my friend Greg Merriman and I, Power Keg Greg on YouTube, when we came up with the show Hot Button Co-op, which we play through a cooperative couch co-op video game while discussing the news cycle that whole week. It's like a weekend recap. We usually did it on Friday nights. And because she was concerned for me, she didn't want people coming for my career. And so she was the one that really would be over my shoulder saying, babe, I might not say that, or, you might want to just be careful. And when she could see how broken up I was on the inside, not being able to speak honestly against the craziness and push back against that darkness, she knew that she had to encourage me. And she said, all right, babe, she said, you take those shackles off. I said, all right, well, just so you know, once the shackles are off, they're never going back on again. And she said, I understand. And so we did that first show, and that's all been leading now to this perfect present moment that I find myself in. where I am engaging in a culture war, but not just to be a belligerent, noisy gong or clanging cymbal, to be someone who actually has something to say, that's always based in truth and based in sound fact and logic. And if that keeps me from being able to do anime ever again, or keeps me from being able to be a part of the entertainment world like I once was ever again, then I'm okay with that. Because I got to at least experience it, and I got to taste it, got to be a lead in a show, got to be in a video game, got to direct, and I can hold on to those good memories and dispense with all the bad ones.
And it sounds like after everything that's happened with you, it sounded like it was a hard start at first with the cancellation, but you seem to have a positive outlook on things.
I definitely do. It was painful when it was happening, but looking back at it now, I'm so glad it did. Because through that pain, it showed me who my real friends and family were. It showed me how to value myself and my wife more, showed me how to value my opinions, showed me how to value my voice a whole lot more. And it gave me a reason to focus my attentions elsewhere and be authentically me. Because like I said, I couldn't be authentically me and still have the career that I wanted at Funimation. And that was why I had such a knotted up ball of anxiety in my chest every single day when I was working there. Because I couldn't be myself. I couldn't be true. I couldn't be 100% honest and authentic. And the decision to be that, as opposed to this cookie cutter, mold fitting, little amorphous person who just lives to do Walla and just lives to play Soldier 4A in any litany of anime, again and again and again. When put it up against that, I decided no, I'm gonna choose authenticity over all that garbage.
And the moral of the story, guys, is follow your dreams, but don't let your beliefs get in the way of your dreams, because all you got in this life are your word and your metaphorical balls if you're a lady.
Yes, your beach ball sized lady nuts.
Exactly. Or your tiny hold on, I got this. Apricot, there we go. Those are small, right?
Your plums, or as Dante in his Inferno said, the man plumes.
Yes, the man plumes. Also, speaking of Dante, on a more, on a less, I guess, on a more happier topic, talking about all these cancellations and stuff like that. Sir, I have a bone to pick with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel you. You gave an L take. I'm gonna rival you on this.
Ooh.
You said slice of life anime is garbage, and you agreed with Mr. Nicholas Ricada about Tokyo Godfathers. How dare you? These are fisticuffs.
Oh, I will say, there are a couple slice of life anime that I have enjoyed. One of them being Clannad, done by the Clamp Studio. And I think the reason I enjoyed it so much is because it had a paranormal edge to it. But I find myself, as an anime fan, one that loves getting into those very big and fanciful stories like Fist of the North Star or Basilisk. I guess I have my genres that I enjoy, and slice of life happens to not be top on that list.
Yeah, Basilisk, the show that has alien incest grapists.
The grapists.
Yes, they're grapists. We don't use the R. We don't use the hard R on this channel. We don't use the hard R because that's an ape and the grape ape. And Bubblegum Joes and all that.
Yeah, it was definitely an odd anime. I think I just enjoyed everybody's niche abilities and how they used them in this sort of battle royale all the way to the end.
There was a sequel.
I know. I was actually in the sequel.
Oh, wow. I haven't watched Basilisk because somebody informed me that it was that like that. It was weird like that. But at this day and age, if something like a Basilisk were to come out, I would wholeheartedly want to watch it. It wouldn't get dubbed, but I would love to watch it.
It was actually the show was really good. And inside in I think in season 2, they go into why um, the brother and sister are betrothed, and I think it was like their bloodline was dying out or something, and they were the only people left of it, so they were going to carry the family name. Weird kind of
I mean, to be fair,
story there.
to be fair, I mean, not medieval, what's the word? Primordial? Not primordial. In primitive Japan, and in most kingdoms in the world, inbreeding was kind of necessary. I mean, if you look at, in fact, some of it is so common in, like, if you look at a show like Naruto, all their clans, they inbred up to a certain point. So, I mean, it's not... It depends on how they deliver it. I understand that's a weird subject for a lot of people.
It was sort of weird because I think the show takes place like in the feudal area.
Feudal Japan, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, feudal, yes.
The anime is, like, that aside, the anime is actually really, really good. Very well acted. It's been weird. Like I said earlier, I have missed acting in anime. I haven't really sat down and actually watched one since getting canned from Funimation. And it's not because I don't still love it, because I do. I love anime. I love the craft. I love the stories that are told, because they don't shy away from taking the risks. They don't shy away from telling, sometimes showing real pain on screen. Pain of the heart. They go for those heavy themes, but it's been tough. Because I prefer to watch dubbed anime, because I don't like having to read the words and miss out on all the awesome action going on. So I prefer to watch it dubbed, and it's hard though sometimes. Having to listen to people that were once my friends and colleagues through show after show after show, since there's such a huge and heavy reuse of people, because there's only so many people that are in that stable of actors there. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the crummiest people out there within the anime community are fabulous actors and actresses. So there's a certain separation of separating the art from the artist that has to take place if I do indulge. But I haven't yet sat down to indulge yet.
Alright, so I don't know if you've seen it. You probably haven't seen it. There's 3 anime I'm going to suggest to you. And I highly doubt you've worked with 90% of any of these people. Maybe you know of them, but okay. Have you seen Hellsing Ultimate?
Yes.
Okay, alright, excellent. Have you seen Black Lagoon?
No, it's actually on my list to watch.
Watch it! You don't know any of those people. You don't have to feel attached. They're all Canadians. You could even feel sorry for them. Oh my gosh, that dub is really good. And one of the things that I really appreciated, one of the directors, because they did a commentary or like a little interview with the cast, like the main cast, the main 3 people and the director, and they mentioned that they wanted more authenticity, like with their dubs, and it didn't feel like it was, oh, I'm going to fill this agenda. They actually got, like, there's a black guy plays a black guy, and it's really well acted. They got a lot of live action actors. It's a very good dub. Highly recommend it. And it's not just because the main character's name is Brad. I mean, the main character's voice actor is named Brad. Has nothing to do with that. And the other anime I was going to recommend, it just recently came out, but it's a California dub with high-paid union actors. Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen anything on it, though.
It is... Okay, so I will say, if you have a threshold of sex, violence, and nudity, this show has all of that. It has... There's characters that are naked almost every time they cut to them. it's a bittersweet as can be story. I won't spoil it because people might be watching this, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It's such a good show, but it has a bittersweet to it, and you don't have to know about the games to watch the anime.
All right. I will definitely check out Black Lagoon because that has been on my list for a while. To see, I may check out Cyberpunk Edge Riders. We'll see.
I mean, are you comfortable with Berserk?
Yes.
Okay, then you're comfortable with Berserk. You'll be able to take Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Black Lagoon. In fact, Berserk kind of inspired Black Lagoon, and I'm actually in the middle of that. I watched a couple episodes today. And for guys that never acted before, this moment, like, this is their first time acting, I think voice acting in those roles, or not roles, but, like, as main characters, or even in voice acting in general, they killed it.
That's great. I love that.
What's even more ironic is that Guts' voice actor went on to be Zolo in One Piece for kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty epic role there.
Yeah. Guts to Zolo. I mean, it's the 4Kids one that didn't last. And he was also in Fate Zero, which is a great anime with a nice dub. You might actually know some of those people, though.
Now, the 4Kids one, that ended up getting recast with pretty much all Funimation talent.
Correct, yes. And they got, like, an unedited dub as well. Like, none of the censorship.
Sure, because I think at the same time, Shaman King was one of the ones that was also on the 4Kids network.
Yeah, and what's crazy about Shaman King is that Funimation actually released, I don't know if it was 12 or 13 uncut episodes. They did it with the Yu-Gi-Oh! As well, but Funimation, being stupid as they are, did something underhanded under the table against TV Tokyo. I think it was they used their music or something like that. I don't think the specifics are given, but because of that, TV Tokyo went, Toei and TV Tokyo went, no thank you, we're gonna pull that license, no more unedited for you.
I wondered what happened with that, because it was really out there for a hot minute, and suddenly it was gone, and nobody was talking about it anymore.
Yeah, no one is talking about it. One of the subscribers of the channel, Elvis, not his real name, but he goes by that online. He actually he tracked down the Shaman King and Yu-Gi-Oh! Uncut English dub, and he has done videos on them discussing them. I don't know about Shaman King in particular, but definitely Yu-Gi-Oh! He's talked about that, and he's actually talking about Pokemon right now. So he's talking about some classics. And it was so cool. It was so crazy when I saw that uncut, because you could see some of it on YouTube, and I was like, okay, so why didn't they just do this? Like, why didn't 4Kids just go, you handle the distribution and the dub, you handle the dub, we'll handle the distribution, and had a beautiful symbiotic relationship. I bet Funimation cheated on them.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's such a money game. Such a money game.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's changing so many hands within a project like that, if you don't have people with some scruples and some real hard edge integrity that can hold people's feet to the fire, then you have blunders like that where somebody does just the wrong thing, and then you either have to atone for it or try and cover it up. And it's been my understanding and my experience that the covering it up is what ends up getting gigs canceled on you.
Recording.
Okay, I am apparently, so I guess that subscriber is now messaging me voice messages, because he's watching the stream, hi Elvis, and, he's letting me know about some of the situations. However, he did mention a very, very important fact that, you might not want to watch Edge Runners.
Oh, okay.
Because, does the name Emmy Lowe mean anything to you?
Oh, yeah, I know Emmy.
Okay. Yeah, she's the main female.
Yep, I know Emmy. Actually, Emmy was a friend there for a while.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there was a number of us that were all sort of coming up through Funimation at the same time. I mean, myself, my wife, Danny Chambers was actually coming up same time we were in Funimation. Yep.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Wait, so when I started hearing about Danny in particular, she was doing Ancient Magus Bride, that was like 20, I don't even know, 2017, 2018 maybe? Were you around that time?
Yeah, we all started right around the same exact time in 2017.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep, there's a lot of us. And you know, it's funny, like, I don't harbor any ill will towards any of them. And you know, even the one in particular that, or the one person in particular that was really sort of spearheading my takedown, as it were. I don't harbor him any ill will either. I pity some of them because they don't get to live authentically. They don't get to be authentically. And I pity some of them because they have decided that they would rather have a life of entertainment than a life lived in truth. And that has to come with its own amount of mental anguish when they're lying awake at night, tortured by their subconscious for all the things that they either did or didn't do, that they should have done or shouldn't have done.
The fact that you could forgive those people shows how much of a person you are, and I'd like to correct one thing. Toei had nothing to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! It was Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, and I was incorrect with that. Toei had nothing to do with that. I'm getting yelled at by people to correct myself, and I will do this. But going back to what you said, first of all, interesting knowledge. Second, about all the people that came up, I didn't know that. But second of all, yeah, it just shows how much of a mature person you are. I don't doubt in the beginning it was like, wow, it's really hard to think of these people and be like, yeah, no, I want nothing but ill will for them, and then go to being like, you know, it really doesn't, I'm over it. It is what it is. It happened. And you know what? I'm done. I'm moved on, and now I've got other things going on. Is that your mindset now?
Pretty much. You know, I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they have wonderful and burgeoning careers. I really do, because it's a cutthroat business, and to get to the place that we all were, and that some still are, you're not getting there by accident. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes in to attaining to those heights. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into becoming a director. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into becoming a script adapter. You put whole chunks of your life sort of on the back burner to invest in yourself and this career goal. And you hope in the end that you have something to show for it. And, you know, thankfully, I've got a few DVDs that I can pull out for my son when he's of age and be like, hey, check it out. You know, this is Daddy. This is Daddy doing some work here. So I have that at least, and that, you know, those are the special things that I get to hold on to. And you know, I hope these people, I hope they always stay on top. I hope they always do. I hope they don't have to go through the pain of watching, you know, 70% of their friends just turn their backs on them. I hope they never have to experience that. Because I know I am and was strong enough to handle that, and I don't think they will be or are.
And now I'm going to take a 10-second break to check on something real quick. And it will pause, just to let you know, Eric, it'll pause the stream because I'm going to check on something. I'm checking the time. Okay, so... Okay, real quick, no, do not stop broadcasting. Okay, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. And just for your viewing pleasures, here's some Chun-Li thigh. There you go. Chun-Li thigh, because I made you wait. And if you're into Cammy, I'm sorry, she's AI bot, she's not moving. But anywho, we're not hiding anything. To give viewers the perspective, what we were talking about was the fact that Eric needs to start heading out soon. I just wanted to check on something real quick. But yeah, I'll give my final thoughts before I do the outro. But what I will like to say is, Eric, it was great that we finally have a way to record this. It was great to be able to talk with you again. It was a wonderful experience to have everybody here who joined the stream. This is actually one of my most watched streams and my most commented streams in a long time. So I'm really happy about that. If you ever want to come over to the podcast again, over with the Paradise people, and enjoy the fun rays where it shines all day, you can do that. And if you have any final words, what would if you have any final words, let them be known. If you want anybody to follow you or anything, I'll post-edit. I will have my editor put it in your socials. I'll find your socials and put them in the description, if anything. And,
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to have the final words before I do the outro. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Rolon.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for checking out the show today. It's always a pleasure talking with Brad. If you feel so inclined, pop on over to my YouTube channel. It's Angel Legend, ANGELEGEND, all one word. And you'll find two things over there. You'll find how to build suits of Spartan armor. You'll also find biblical research. I have a love of Christian apologetics, as I am a Christian father, husband, son, and actor. And it shapes all of what I say and what I do. And so if you've never had any questions about Christianity, some of the hard questions, I do my best to answer those over there, just so that we're not all a bunch of, snake charming lunatics, and we're not a bunch of Bible thumping morons. Some of us are rather intelligent and rather gifted in the arts. The other thing I want to say is, no matter what you're doing, and no matter what you want to do career-wise, strive as hard as you possibly can to live authentically. Strive as hard as you possibly can to be truthful all the time, in so much as you never ever willfully lie. Because we can all make mistakes and say something that we didn't realize was incorrect. In so much as you never ever willfully lie. Remain truthful, remain authentic, remain honest, and remain with your integrity. Be choosy with who you keep around you as your closest of friends and confidants. And be choosy with whom you let speak into your life. Always remain with your integrity. Always live authentic. And do not let this world break you.
Exactly, and I almost forgot, for recording sakes, one last question that will take maybe a minute of your time. Eric, the most important question that asked tonight. I will ask you this very question. Futanari, balls or no balls?
Well, definitely balls.
Oh, I see, alright.
It has to be all or nothing, comrade. You know how this is.
Oh dear. Oh no. So with that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you liked, subscribed, shared, and all that stuff. All that good BS, like it says in the description. And I'm Brad, the host of the Paradise Podcast. The place to get away, to enjoy those rays, where the sun shines each and every day. I'm the leader of this little beautiful piece of paradise. And I hope you've enjoyed this beautiful piece of paradise. But wait this, hold on. I'm getting some, there's something happening. What? Hello, can you hear me?
I can, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, good. That was a good episode. I am glad he is back. I like the fat one.
I am partial to the fat one, but the little one can jump quite high, especially while balancing them water pots like he's doing.
Yes, very good. And the blind one, he is so cringe, but strangely fascinating. I do not know.
He's 2020 to me, if you know what I mean.
Oh, let's be like those crazy Muppets and let's have a
Hey.
drink. Yeah!
Nostrovia.
What a show! Oh gosh, we got control of the podcast back. I don't know what the hell just happened there. That was weird. That was really weird. I don't know. But guys, I've been Brad with the Paradise Podcast. That was Eric Rolon. Another one in the can. What we're going to do, just to give you a little bit of understanding, is that I'm going to keep this stream up for at least a week. See how it does as viewership. I'm going to have then my editor. I'm going to delist the video. I'm probably going to unlist it. Maybe keep it private. I don't know. Depending on what happens. Depending on where I'm at in my feelings. But I'm going to have the episodes be in cut portions. So there'll be portions part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And if you want, you could watch the full podcast, or you could watch the cut up versions. I don't know. You might be able to do neither. You might be able to do one. It all depends on how YouTube's feeling. And when that's, like I said, I'm the leader of the place where you can stay all day and get away with the sunshine rays, where the sun shines every day. Leader of the Paradise Podcast, hoping you have a good rest of a good one. Anyway, until next time, guys.